Yeah, it's great. Hey, what could I work on? I think as we're just kind of navigating some of the change,
Being more awesome.
Yeah, be more like, it's softball.
Yeah.
Like there's no one is going to, a lot of leaders will mistake feedback for honest feedback. They'll say, I got all this feedback. Look at our engagement survey. You see this? I'm doing great. You're like, yeah, but you're assuming that they were honest on that. There's no way for you to actually know that. The only way for you to get honest feedback is for you to display something difficult that was difficult for you to hear, and for you to be able to share that with the people that you lead.
All right. Ken Coleman sits down with a guest to talk about the current employment and its issues, making this conversation real. Career mistakes, missed opportunities, and why employees feel lost at work. Breaking it all down on Debt Disaster Daily. Subscribe for more financial chaos. Let's jump in.
80% of employees who say they've received meaningful feedback in the past week were fully engaged. This drives productivity and profitability.
Sure.
So it's super important.
Yeah.
When you hear some data like that, and I want to flip it in a second and go to leaders receiving feedback, but let's talk about leaders giving feedback based on what you found.
Yeah.
They don't like to give it, and you gave us good reasons why. Let's walk into why it is so important for leaders to understand this data.
Yes.
And I want you to interpret it from your take.
Yeah.
Why is that 80% engaged? Because they got some feedback, meaningful feedback.
Yeah. Well, I think people want to be good at their job.
Yeah.
And if they're not the leader, they don't actually know how to do that. If you think about it, even as kids, like if you went to an elementary and said, hey kids, you can come to school next week if you want to, most of them would say, I'm not going to because I don't have to. But there's a few nerds that would say, no, I want to go because I actually like learning. I like reading. I like what the environment gives me. Well, when you think about like somebody that's working a 9 to 5, or they're a salary employee or hourly employee, like they need to be told what to do, because if they were a self-starter, they wouldn't be there. They would be starting their own company. They would be doing their own thing. So most people need some level of instruction and need some level of guidance and vision to be able to say, hey, here's what I need you to do, and here's how I think you can do it really, really well based off of the strengths and weaknesses that we've discussed or profiled or taken some sort of assessment to figure those things out. But I think that the reason you see that stat is because people like light up when they actually go, wait, somebody is giving me feedback? Like somebody is actually paying attention to what I'm doing?
That's it. Yeah. That's it. I think it's built into our soul by our creator. We don't know where we stand. Do you know what I mean? 100%. It starts in elementary school.
100%.
Do you like me?
Yep.
Yes or no?
Right.
And somewhere along the line, some really enterprising little kindergartner came up with the maybe box.
Sure.
And I think the maybe box is what tells us why feedback is so important. Because we go, yes and no are clear. Yeah. Right?
Oh, 100%.
But why do we put maybe in there?
Right.
Because we want to know where we stand. Do I have a shot? Yep. And I think leaders need to understand that the feedback piece is just a scoreboard of sorts.
No. Yeah, I mean, again, imagine just showing up to work every single day and you don't know where you stand.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Kill you.
You don't know if you're like doing a great job, a mediocre job, if they're thinking about firing you, if they wish that somebody else had your job, if they're interviewing other people to replace you, type of deal.
And I'm going to be honest, that is very, very, very dangerous, especially if you're at work, especially if you need the job, especially if you need that career that supplements you, that helps you survive. Very, absolutely dangerous. You always got to ensure your superiors where you stand, because you never know. They could be interviewing someone else to replace you. They probably have plans of firing you. You never know. You absolutely never know. And especially with AI, forget about it.
And so I think giving them that knowledge of going, here's how you win in our organization. And oh, by the way, I'm not going to move the goalpost. And I see that happen all the time. People are like, wait, I thought you wanted us to do this, but now you want me to do that. And so, especially with a lot of organizational change, and I think the values don't have to change, even though sometimes the medium changes and technology forces us to change and AI forces us to do some things a little bit different. But I think overall, people really value knowing where they stand. In fact, I asked ChatGPT, I said, hey, if I wanted to be a billionaire, what would I have to do? It said, if you could create an app that would help employees know where they stand at their job, that their leader could fill out, and they could always know where they stand, like that would be $1 billion idea. And I was like, huh.
That's fascinating.
I was just doing it for fun. And I was like, how would I don't even know how I would do that. Would I sell it to Salesforce? Would I but it was just but even AI was like, here's a gap. Because people are showing up guessing every single day. And if a leader can take out the guesswork, I think you create the kind of culture
that's good
that they really want to be at.
All right, I want to flip it to leaders because you were talking earlier. Leaders don't receive feedback well. So I want you to talk to leaders right now who have rarely or maybe never created a system so that they're receiving feedback from the people they lead.
Yes.
Or they would admit, I'm not very good at receiving it. If I'm being honest, just watching or listening right now in the privacy wherever I am, right?
Yeah.
So you're coaching them, right? They get a one-on-one with you.
Yeah.
What are you going to tell them to tactically do to begin to, it's a two-part question, I'll let you roll.
I got it.
How do they set up a system that can be effective to introduce it? And then what can they do to make sure they're not just receiving it well, but doing something with it?
Yeah. So the first thing I'm going to tell them is your people are lying to you.
If you want to perform at a high level, you've got to protect your focus. That's why I use Delete Me. Spam calls, go to joindeleteme.com/front row seat and get 20% off an annual plan.
Your people are lying to you.
Yeah, it's a fact.
If you don't go in assuming that they're lying, you're living in la la land. You're not that good. I'm not that good. Nobody's that good. You need to start with the thought, they're not going to tell me the truth, and I can tell you why they're not going to tell you the truth. And you said it earlier, because Johnny just started travel soccer.
Right.
And I got health insurance here. Yeah. And I'm not going to risk that on a Tuesday feedback meeting with you being brutally honest. And so, yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's great. Hey, what could I work on? I think as we're just kind of navigating some of the change,
being more awesome.
Yeah, be more it's softball.
Yeah.
Like there's no one is going to, a lot of leaders will mistake feedback for honest feedback. They'll say, I got all this feedback. Look at our engagement survey. You see this? I'm doing great. You're like, yeah, but you're assuming that they were honest on that. There's no way for you to actually know that. The only way for you to get honest feedback is for you to display something difficult that was difficult for you to hear, and for you to be able to share that with the people that you lead. And say, hey, I heard something the other day. It was really hard for me to hear that after our 3-hour-long meeting, you guys actually didn't understand what I was talking about. I was thorough, but I wasn't clear.
Well, it really depends as well on who is the leader as well. If you got a crappy leader, obviously they're going to give out crappy advice, crappy probably results as well. A good leader would probably be honest, and a mediocre leader would probably give you something that they probably don't even know what they're talking about. So it really depends.
And that's hard for me to hear, but hey, I just want you to know, if there's ever something you don't actually know, or if something that isn't clear, I would rather know that at the beginning of a meeting than at the end of it. Because I value your time, I value my own time too. So man, if there's something that's not clear, I want you to know you have permission to raise your hand. You're not gonna lose your job for not knowing something or asking for clarity in something, because hey, that actually helps me get better, versus the gossip in the office. We don't know what he's talking about. We don't know what she was meaning. What was that PowerPoint? What, instead of they're leaving all of these questions, no one feels like they can go to their boss because they have so much to lose. You talked about that different power dynamic. They're up here, you're down here. And so to give feedback up, unless there has been a system that has been created to receive that feedback, it's going to be really hard to get honest feedback. I have been a part of an organization that does it really well. Eagle Brook Church. Eagle Brook Church, when you are preaching there, and so obviously the main guy, that's his main, like, he's constantly delivering messages to thousands of people every single weekend. That Tuesday, you hand in a manuscript of your entire message, and then it's reviewed by a few different staff members. And those staff members will say, hey, this isn't funny. Hey, this verse was kind of used out of context. One time I sent in a message and I had a story in there about my dad, and it was about my dad like dying. So it was a very heartfelt story. They said, hey, Ryan, it's a really great story, but you probably need to cut it in half. Like, who would say that to somebody? Eagle Brook would.
Right.
Why? Because before you go do it in front of 30,000 people, it would be really great if you had that dialed in before. So the first time I went into like this like feedback session with them, I felt like weird and egotistical of like, who are you to tell me what to say? Like, this is what I do for a living. Like, what do you do for a living? You know?
Right.
But they walked in with so much great feedback, and 85% of it was positive. Hey, when you said this line, hey, this needs to be a slide. Like, people need to be able to take a picture of that. That was awesome. Hey, this story, man, that really convicted me personally. Like, thank you for sharing that. Dude, I've never seen that in this verse. Hey, I would tweak your ending because you should have recapped all four because it was that good. But by the time we got to your fourth point, I'd honestly kind of forgotten your first one. Like, and I was like, okay, so I was making adjustments that by the time I did that last service, it was so locked in that, man, I just felt like it made me 3 times the communicator I was. Well, now when I go somewhere, I'll send in my message and say, hey, what do you think? They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, do you have any feedback? They're like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Right.
not even going to be there. I don't know. Like, I'm sure, buddy, go for it. I'm like, no, is there anybody on your staff that can read this? Like, context. I don't live in your city. I'm like, and they're like, what do you mean feedback? And so I do this with all of our corporate clients. We send in a PowerPoint deck and all of our presenter notes for all of the different contexts that we're going to speak into. And I say, hey, this is your event. It's not my event. I'm there to serve you. So would you give me feedback? This past week, one client said, you missed completely. You missed it. And I went, I'm so sorry that I misread our communication on our pre-event call. They said, this is the wrong talk for us. Like, no, like we need to do something else. And so we retooled and remade the entire deck, brought a completely different talk. I did it twice last week and out the park. I'm glad that I got that feedback before I showed up to the event.
Sure.
To be able to say, hey, I'm wide open to feedback, and I don't want feedback after. I want feedback before so that we can really dial it in. So those are ways that I think developing systems within your organization to say, hey, before we launch, before a meeting, hey, would you review this? Do you think this is clear? Does this make sense? You're inviting somebody to the table versus somebody having to tell you afterwards. If they're invited to the table, the honesty is going to go way higher versus them having to say, hey, boss, can we talk?
Yeah, I mean, to a degree, I can agree with that, really. I agree 100% that feedback should be given, like, right away as soon as you're being invited to the table. And just get it rolling, got some questions, let's talk about it before we start whatever operation XYZ, and just get it out the way, see what they can improve on, see what they did right. I think that's fair.
How's that going to go? Like, they're going to be 20% honest if they've got to bring it to you. But if you've created a culture of feedback, like going to Eagle Brook now, it's just like, I send them a message, hey, here's 8 things. But like, it's normal now. The first time I was like, I felt like my nervous system was crashing. Like, what's happening right now? Now it's like, I feel weird when I don't get feedback. But that's part of having a culture of feedback. At Eagle Brook, they do that with everything. Hey, we did this service. The one time we were in the back, they were like, hey, that song we sang at the beginning, you like that song, Ryan? I said, I mean, I don't know if I have a vote, but no, actually, I really don't like that song. They're like, I don't like that song either. You like that song? We went around the table. Nobody liked the song. We're like, so why are we singing the song? And the next day, they changed the song to a song that, like, I don't know, people like.
Right.
But they have a culture of feedback. So ego has gone out the window to say, this is not about my ego. This is about like producing the best product for the people that we're trying to serve each and every day.
Well, I might as well just end it right there. I mean, most people who work 9 to 5s, which I'm leading to the moral story, is probably lost. Most people jump from job to job to job to job to job to job. They really can't find a place. I mean, that's not the move right there. That really isn't the move right there. Like, you're not gonna grow. You're not gonna want the salary that you desire from jumping from job to job. Like, that's not how it works, man. Like, quitting a job, going to another one. Like, you're just restarting all over again. Sure, finding a suitable job that you may like isn't easy. I understand that. But if you know damn well you have got nothing going on, maybe invest a little bit. You want to invest until you're 60 or something. Find a job that you are like 50-50 about, and just stick with it. There's no point on just jumping and jumping and jumping. It's not how it works. It's not going to get you anywhere. It really isn't. But back to this, the feedback. It's a powerful tool. If you're lost, try to speak with your superiors, whether it's your boss, your manager, supervisor, whatever it is. Talk to them, see if they can get you in contact with maybe HR or something, even though I wouldn't really talk to HR about this. I'd probably just talk to the superiors right then and there about this. Especially if you're going to stay in that job for a long time. Like, you might as well start there, work your way and see what you're going. We'll see what's wrong, see what's right, work your way up, and move on from there. Who knows? You might even jump into better positions. You might get promoted. I mean, financially, that's a great thing. I'd say that's a great thing. And honestly, if you're gonna stick to this 9 to 5 for the rest of your life, you might as well have, like, invest. I'd say invest. Divide your income into pieces, whether it's savings, needs, emergency funds, and assets that you want to build and invest on. That's pretty much it. So, thank you guys for watching. This is Debt Disaster Daily. Subscribe if you haven't already. I know there's like at least 90% of you guys watching. It would mean the world to us if you subscribe and like the video and comment, share your thoughts. And we're out.